Scythe. Those are fun.
A little overwhelmed.
The Scythe is actually not too bad. It's a single blade. It's the part is getting the structure behind it to hold it up so it's not so knocking people in the head.
Yeah.
Well, actually, it's a good thing to knock people in the head. That's what that is. This was my first product. I did it for Planet Hulk. And looking at it now, I want to redo it again. I kind of bought it as a what not to do type thing. Great. This is a styrofoam ball I got from this. This is a wooden dowel in the middle. This is a bedpost from Home Depot with a little sliding wooden thing. I wanted to top it to it. This right here is just tennis racket wrap, just to give it a kind of cool wrapping effect. And this is just a warbler, foam and covered with warbler put on top just to give something break up in the knot. But this right here is a mess. It looks cool from far away, but from close up, it's a little damaged. I was telling them when I debuted Planet Hulk at Comic Palooza a couple years ago, when I was taking pictures with little kids, I handed it to him, like, hey, take a picture with it. Handed it to him, and he was like, wow. This full Hulk smashed it on the ground and destroyed a lot of the spikes on it. But what not to do is, now I knew what to do, but I was very impatient. If you came close up, you can, if y'all want to come closer to look at any of the stuff, touch on it, y'all more than welcome to. But if you notice, you can see a lot of little tiny micro holes in here. It's a styrofoam ball, so it already has holes already. And I kind of knew it at the time, but I didn't want to believe it. But if you put spray paint, it melts it.
Yeah.
So this is my first prop I made. This is like my third costume I ever made. But what I did before then, I tried to wood glue. I didn't like it, but I used gesso, or gesso, however you say it. I used about 2 layers, which is not nearly enough. Then I colored it and spray painted it, and at first it was like, oh cool, it works great. And then it came back out about 2 hours later after it dried, and it's like, oh no. But I kind of wanted it, made a little torn up battle look to it, so it's not a problem. But lots and lots of gesso or wood glue kind of layers helps a long way. But these are all styrofoam spikes. I went out to the garage today and spray painted it. It's been in my garage for the last couple of years. I hadn't worn Planet Hulk in a couple of years. But I might wear them tomorrow or Sunday, one of the two. But let's see, who else joined us? We got a couple other people here now. Do you guys have any prop making experience?
She's just with me.
She's just with me.
The closest thing I've ever come to it was we have a sword, but of course we bring it into a place where
can't have
right. So I ended up rounding off the edges of an old machete and rounding it off and
like a real machete.
A real machete.
All right.
We were allowed to have that as long as it wasn't sharp.
They actually tested the sharpness. That's a brave person.
It was like for a drama skit.
Oh, gotcha.
So it wasn't a lot of interaction with people.
I thought it was a Comic-Con. I was like, I've never seen an actual machete at a Comic-Con.
I actually rounded it off and made it look like a gladius and
okay, cool.
And redid the wooden handle, but that's the most that kind of stuff. I haven't worked with foam that much.
Well, a lot of people, in my opinion at least, the sword is one of the hardest props to make because the straightness, if you can call it, it's got to be perfect. The coloring, you can come up here and touch me and stuff. If you have any questions, by all means, come up here.
Is this the C-14 Gauss rifle?
No, it is based off of the Jade Rabbit from Destiny.
God damn, it looks like a C-14 Gauss rifle.
It's actually literally the Jade Rabbit from Destiny. I printed it out. I didn't make it itself, but I can make it. I gave it to a guy to make it for me because I was too busy to make it. But I actually printed out the drawings and sent it to a friend. What he did was, from the template of it, he just put it on a projector, projected it onto a long piece of tracing paper, and from that, cut it out of all. It's a pink insulation foam you get from Home Depot or Lowe's. Stuff's super easy to carve. It has not nearly as much like residue powder as like styrofoam does. It doesn't break apart when you cut it. You can sand it, cut it down. I've only used it. I use it for my cable cosplay. That's my cable armor here and some other pieces of the cable cosplay. I told him I wanted it to be giant. I'm a big guy, and Cable always has giant guns. That's what he's known for. So I wanted it to be, I call it Titan size, just to be bigger. Only I could grip onto it. I got really big hands, and so when I hand it to somebody, it'll be too big for them to hold on to. It's a little bit too big for me to hold on to, also. So I'm trying to remake it myself and do it a little more my style. It's a little too angular for my legs. But I brought it here just for an example of templates. I literally found a picture of the Jade Rabbit. I scoured through the internet trying to find a really cool rifle design, spacey but not too not too. You go too spacey, it almost looks a little steampunkish a little bit. So I wanted something cleaner, and I played the game Destiny, and so I knew of the Jade Rabbit, and I found a whole bunch of pictures. I just didn't like the color scheme. It's like this bright blue and pink, and it has like an anime rabbit on the hilt of it. So it's like nah, I want to do different colors, grade, toned down colors. And,
so you unintentionally made it look like a Gauss rifle.
No, it's actually, if you go to Google Destiny's Jade Rabbit, this is the Jade Rabbit, literally. Only thing I did, I actually cut off the head an extension to it, like a stock extension. I didn't like it, so I added on this piece to make it shoulder because it was actually too long for me to hold on to with my own.
Well, I got an issue. You unintentionally made it look like the StarCraft rifle.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Well, I'll tell you, talking to the Destiny developers, that's the Jade Rabbit. It looks exactly just like it. They did a really good job on it. It's literally, if you hold it from the profile view, this was my template I sent him.
Gonna try to hold it.
And the actual pictures. All he did was cut it out onto a giant piece of insulation foam. One main piece. You can see this up here. There's another main piece down here. And inside it are two PVC pipes. Really thin ones, not really super heavy, but that's for structure inside it. Even with that in there, it's still a little floppy, so I'm not really happy with it. I think it needs a third one, or at least one main one going through.
So any advice for making armor?
I'm actually doing an armor making class tomorrow morning. And I want to have this, and I believe it's an additional $5 to attend because they're actually going to provide you guys with foam and knives. I'm bringing hot glue guns and all this kind of stuff. And I'm bringing a template to make a Batman style gauntlet. That's literally it's like 6 pieces, and you glue it together, Velcro strap. It's not supposed to be super, super nice. But it's an easily template to show you how to go from a picture drawing to foam.
Do you have anything on
Next piece
YouTube
like that.
about it?
Hmm?
Do you have anything on YouTube about it?
I don't, but I will be live streaming it tomorrow. So if you can't make it for whatever morning, it's 9:30 to 11 tomorrow morning. So if you can't make it, you can go to my Facebook page, and we'll be live streaming it on there. It's facebook.com/Titan Cosplay.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, so I'll be bringing this armor out there. I'm going to showcase a little bit of this here in the next 45 minutes. And talk a little bit more. This is all my cable outfit. This is a costume that I've yet to do, but I'm going to be doing. This is the Mountain from Game of Thrones. This is my Killer Croc prop. I might be wearing Killer Croc on Sunday. This is my other cable gun. This is my pocket one.
I can hold it.
Yeah.
Jacked up and good to go.
So I wanted to kind of be pretty tall, pretty long.
At this point, it's more along the size of a ship weapon.
Yeah, and especially when little kids try to hold it, it's pretty funny. But this is just if y'all can obviously tell, it's a Nerf gun. That's a pretty popular thing to do. I got this, I wanted something a little more handheld if I didn't want to bring that to a Comic-Con. I wore cable to Dallas Comic-Con a few months ago, and I didn't want to bring that because it's cumbersome, and I was, when I wore it at Space City Con and walking around, I was hitting people a lot with it, inadvertently. But this, just normal, I can't remember the name of it, but it's modulars. You can take this piece off, you can add pieces to it. This is another magazine I got from a different gun, but I don't have my little switch to turn it on, but I actually took it apart, disassembled it, took all the internals out of it, and added in a Gemma electronics in there, and it's got a battery pack. I can pop this out and show you guys. Actually, I had to change the batteries out before it came out here today. And you can kind of see, if you want to come up closer, you can take a look at it. I can tell you more. And if you ever want to learn how to put electronics into props, super easy. I got the coding for it. You can always contact me. It does, and I don't have this little tiny switch. I don't have my little device to click it on because I want it all to be hidden away. But when you do click it on, you hold this button down and pull the trigger. It lights the barrel up red, and the end of it turns out red. So, and what it does, it has a little flickering effect, and it's trigger activated. So what I use is you press this button and you can fire this electronically firing Nerf gun, whatever. So I kept that device right there, that click, and what it does is it turns off a switch, an internal switch I built in there. It basically cuts the power off to or turns it on to the electronics in there. So it looks like a triggered rifle effect. Also, these right here are your little cell phone clips you put on your belt. Actually, I don't have it. It's on my actual cable pants I have on my belt loop. Or is the receiver for this, so I'm able to just click it in and walk around with it. And this is the left armor, so it slides in right there and clicks in to my belt right there. And this means I can just walk around. If I want to, I can unclip it, pull it out. Props are a lot of fun. I've gotten when I worked Killer Croc at San Diego Comic-Con just a few weeks ago, almost a month ago. I was invited by DC Comics to be part of the Suicide Squad group. It was a countrywide contest that I entered in. I had my people vote for me, and I won the contest to represent Killer Croc. I got to meet the entire Suicide Squad cast. Got to go on the panel at Hall H for Suicide Squad and meet everybody. But it just didn't feel right without having my Croc prop. It's basically this is based off a picture I saw, just an artistic drawing of Killer Croc from Arkham Asylum, and he was just carrying around a piece of rock. And so I kind of took a little bit step further. So this is a piece of Arkham Asylum that he ripped out the back wall. So he does like a brick facade to it, and it says, danger, do not release, whatever. So it's supposed to look like a concrete piece of wall they just ripped out. And all it is about 18 layers of the foam you get from the Home Depot, the cheap stuff, gym mats. Just layered it up, and then what I did was just draw a rough pattern, cut it out, draw another rough pattern, cut it out. Just eyeballed it. Then I took a meat carver, electric meat carver, with a new one because it'll wear the blades out pretty quickly, and just kind of trimmed it up, made it look a little more even, the cuts. And then I moved into a house, and so I had a whole bunch of extra spackle just laying around, wall spackle, and spackled all the way around it to kind of smooth it out a little bit. Now, I've brought this to Space City Con, dragged it around, I took it to New Orleans Comic Con, so it's been dragged around. I literally do drag it around and swing it at people. It's Killer Croc. The whole joke about it was Killer Croc. He always he threw a rock at Batman. That's a little joke from the animated series. That he threw a rock at him. So this is the rock that I throw at any Batman cosplayer that I see. I throw it at him gently, or I have people stand on it, or I wrap their necks around like this. I think I did to you at Space City Con. Yep. So this is my favorite prop because of this right here. It's just a glass chain. I spray painted. You can see it. I use it a lot, so some of the painting is coming off. But this is something that I like about props is that you get to interact a little more with the crowd. It's not just the cosplay that you're doing or the costume that you're doing, but I like the interaction I get with everybody that I see at the con. So, strangling little kids. Not strangling them, I'm sorry. I forgot this is a recording right now.
You're just having that makes me okay with saying it.
5 years from now when I get convicted, just interacting with people you see when you go to a con for photo ops. This is just something that adds to a little more. I remember a funny story. I had a relatively drunk lady at New Orleans Comic Con because they also serve alcohol there, a lot of it. And she wanted to this orderly just came up to me and was like, I want to sit on it. I'm like, okay, cool, go ahead. And right before she sat on it, I pulled it up. And a little rude on my part, but it's extremely fun. Now, how this is made, I told you about the layers, all the layers, but how do you get this attached to a bunch of foam? So what I did is just drill a little square hole in the middle, all the way down, and I wrapped elastic bungee cord. You can see I looped it through back down here, and looped it onto the final, several knots onto the final piece. And it had a little piece covering it up since I pulled it off, but for the most part, this thing doesn't go anywhere. I can lob at people. It weighs probably about 10, 15 pounds. It's got a good weight to it. Let's see. This was my first helmet I ever made. I plan on doing the mounted from Game of Thrones. This one, I basically I will doing this tomorrow, showing you tomorrow how to do a template. I'm sure y'all have done it before if you've made any armor, is doing this ram wrap duct tape method. Have you heard about that? A little bit? I like it I'll be doing a forearm gauntlet tomorrow, so it's the easiest thing you can possibly make. But
if you don't catch the live stream, will you upload it to YouTube?
If I can, I think I have to save it. Yeah, I'll try. I'll definitely do it. Yeah.
Right.
It's not rules.
Oh, he'll be doing it as well.
We'll be there.
He's the nerdery. He'll be doing it as well.
Thank you.
So, saran wrap, This is for foam. This isn't really much prompt or for foam for armor making, but you take saran wrap on a body part and you duct tape around it. I prefer the white duct tape. Then you just take a marker and just draw on what you want your design. Then you cut it down the middle and you fold it out, and it will have that bend to it. You just put that directly on the foam, cut it out, and you've got something that will fit you skin tight. So what I did, I actually have a picture on my Facebook page of my wife. I had her saran wrap my head. Go ahead.
Sorry.
Alright.
Keep interrupting you.
No, it's okay.
I was gonna add. You mentioned you used the carving knife for your killer croc.
Yes.
Was that a while ago, or do you use hot knives now, or do you still use?
I have a hot knife. At the time, it was broken. I was working on something and I broke the knife, the wire part of it. So I recently just got a new one. So at the time I didn't have one, and plus I had a buddy who told me about the carving knife. The hot wire knife is probably a better idea. You get a more smooth line going through all the way through. But through this density foam, it's slow going.
Okay.
Unless you get a really good one. I had a really cheap one. So, and it was a straight one. What you want to do if you're going to do something like this, if they even make it this deep, is the one that has the loop around it, so it's kind of a structure to it, and it gives it a clean look. You know what I mean? The one, I think you can actually make that.
I have access to one that you can actually kind of custom shape the wire, so you can go around the rock and make.
The one I had was just a straight piece of wire that just got real hot. And the problem is when you try to do something this thick, this many pieces, this thick of a material, it's going to bend the wire, and it won't get a perfectly straight cut all the way around. It won't be a straight cut. It'll be more of a mess. So with the carving knife, you have two straight blades that aren't going to bend as easily. Problem is, if you don't have a high enough power on it, enough wattage on it, or if you got a really cheap one, it'll burn the motor out real quick. Because stuff is pretty thick, and I was going through a lot of it, and it was getting pretty hot in my hand, so I had to take breaks. But it was a brand new one, so I had brand new blades, and the blades are probably now pretty dull by now. But definitely hot wire. This is pretty thick material, so hot wire you have to, like I said, get the one with a little arc to it that has a little more structure to it, and that way you can push it along maybe. I just now recently got one and remake it. So my wife saran wrapped my head, literally, from here up, and duct taped it all the way around, put pieces on it, just to give me a template of my head. Now there's plenty of helmet templates you can get online. I think Punish Props has one you can get for free. So there's tons of them already on there, but I wanted something a little more longer, custom made for my head, because I have kind of a big head. Basically just tell her to drill the eyes, roughly where the eyes are going to be. It was just from here up, because you got to breathe. Cut it off the back from the back area, all the way from the back, all the way down the middle. Laid it on a piece of foam, one piece, and I made the top piece. You can kind of see where the seam is right here. Now when I made it, there's a mistake because I made it a little too tight. You got to think about when you make something like that. You also got to think about the thickness of the foam you're using, because that's actually going to take away from the space you get. So it's already skin tight, minus another ½ inch. So it was like, no. So what I had to do is, you can barely see it now because I covered it up, but I actually added on a small wedge right in the back here to give me another inch of space, basically, to make up for that. So now it's perfect. It fits me pretty well. I basically eyeballed everything because there wasn't much. The Mountain has a specific armor. This is King's Guard armor. If you watch Game of Thrones, I'm sure some of y'all do. He's got a specific armor made just for him. And until this last season, you didn't really see him this much. You saw him in the final episode last season, and I had very basic information to base it off of. I actually followed him on Instagram, and so he was taking pictures of himself in costume on set. That's how I was able to say, oh, that's where it looks like. And there was no shots from behind, so I had no idea what this looked like. I knew he had some kind of chainmail in the back, but I realize now this is actually wrong. He has two pieces. But I didn't know it until he actually took a picture of it from behind. Like, oh god, it's two pieces. So I need to remake this. This is all just foam pieces. These are little thumbtacks added on. The antlers are just small foam. These are actually the small toothpicks you get, those little sword toothpicks. I had to order them. Nobody carries them anymore. I had to go order them on Amazon. Heated them up with a heat gun, gave them a little bend to them, cut one in half, glued it on there, and I sealed everything with probably about 9 layers of gesso. Now gesso will give you, has a kind of I'm using a white brush, So the brush on there kind of light. You get little streaks in there. It kind of looks a little more metallic. You get a more smooth feel to it. So I actually had crevices when I added these on because I didn't do clean, I think 30-60 degree cuts on these to match it up perfectly without a seam. It's hard to get those cuts. So what I did, I just put layer of gessos on there. I actually had some spackle left over, so I put spackle on to fill the holes. Gesso, lots of layers of it. And then I plastic dipped it on top of that. It's probably overkill to do the plastic dip, but there's white gesso, black. When you do a gold, I prefer black underneath. It gives it a more grungier, shinier effect. I've read online sometimes they prefer to do a lighter color or a yellow or a white, but I wanted something a little grungier. Now with the gesso, once it's all dry, because you got to give it time to dry also, so don't ruin the whole effect, you can take sandpaper to it and sand it down and get rid of the brush strokes. You need to get rid of the brush strokes. I kind of like the brush strokes, so I left some of them there, but for the most part, it's smooth. Now this is waterproof now. The interior not so much, but
Is it
the
durable?
exterior, very durable. I've had this, this is actually the bottom of my box with everything on top of it. So it's squishy, it's giveable, but it's on there tight. It's not gonna break. The chainmail itself, this is all foam, so this is a quarter of a pound of that of weight. It's not that much. This is actual metal chainmail on the bottom. So this is the most weight to it right here.
How did you attach it to the phone?
Now what I did is, that's a little hard, so I have these little, hard to see from that far away, but if you want to come closer I can show you. This is chainmail, so you have these little split rings. What I did is, on each end of them, I added on about 3 extra of them, and then on a piece of thick foam, I looped them into the foam. I cut a hole and looped them into the foam. So it's attached to about a 2-inch foam piece, 2-inch thick, that goes all the way around. You kind of see it. And so that is glued on the back itself.
Put it on your head.
So demanding.
Nice.
Now what type of foam is that?
It fits me pretty well. I mean, I don't know if you can hear me.
We can hear you.
What type of foam is this?
But, say again?
What type of foam are you using?
Now this is the foam, I get it from TNTCosplaySupplies.com. They're a Dallas-based cosplay supply store. They're run by cosplayers. Now this is smooth on both sides. This, I believe, is an 1/8 inch, maybe slightly larger foam. But what it is, they sell smooth on both sides. Now this right here is made from the stuff you get, the gym mats you get from Academy, Home Depot, Lowe's, tons of places, Harbor Freight. And it has that ribbed, kind of the steel grill, or whatever you want to call it, side to it.
You did that with what now? The home gym what now?
This is the foam that you can get from Home Depot. It's called gym formats. They look like giant puzzle pieces because they come in about 4-pack, and they're about 2 foot by 2 foot, and you can interlock them together to make a 4 foot by 4 foot or 8 foot. I forget how to math. You can put them. I don't know, maybe six pieces in a pack. I forget. It's about $20. This the most common used Eva foam is the stuff you get from Academy. It's all the same stuff. Sometimes it's colored purple or green because it's used for kid room and stuff. But all it is just real thick, about 3/4 inch, 5/8 inch foam that's used for mostly for heavy use.
So what you use to cut it? I know utility knife ain't gonna cut it.
Utility knife will cut. You have a sharp one. It'll eat through a utility knife sharp blade in 15 cuts. You know, it depends on how much you're cutting. This is a lot. These are. I actually went through. I bought 4 packs of the stuff from I got it from Home Depot. 4 packs of that, and I just glued them all layer by layer. Now, what I use, and normally people use hot glue or something like that. It's a little cheap and easy. This is actually barge glue. It's cement glue, contact cement, but like industrial strength. Cobblers use it to repair shoes. That's a cobbler, right? Pie. It's a guy who makes shoes.
Right.
They use it to repair shoes, put heels back onto shoes. It's how I do it, which I use. That's used barge on that, barge on this, barge on this, barge on this. Everything's barge from here on out. Take 2 pieces of foam, put glue on one side, put glue on the other, and I use my heat gun. Normally you could let them dry first, but a heat gun will make it within 5 seconds. Until it turns the color. It goes on clearish, amber looking color. Once it starts bubbling up a little bit and starts turning whitish, it means it's dry. Do a heat gun on both sides, then you put it on, it's good. It'll stay there forever. It'll literally stay on there forever. I mean, I've dragged this around so many times that it hasn't come off yet. So all this is made from barge. Like there's no real internal structure to it. It's just all held by barge, so it's very, very strong. It's hard to find. I haven't been able to find it locally anywhere. I found the little tubes of it, but as far as the actual jug can of it, I get it from Amazon. $30, something like that. And one can will last you a while.
Is that barge like a boat?
No, it's spelled barge like a boat. It comes in a red and yellow can. I think there's also a blue and white can. They have tons of different versions of it, but the red and yellow can, barge, B-A-R-G-E, you get from Amazon.com. And it works fantastic. I mean, it literally is put on one side, put on the other. I got to put it on both sides. You can just put it on one side. It's got a basic contact itself, like contacts in it. Heat it up with the heat gun real quick. Not too long. You don't want to hit it too long or it'll burn it away. Put it together. You got to be very precise and patient with it because when I'm telling you, it touches each other, it's going to stay. Unless you rip it off again, and then you probably ruin whatever you're working on. But it's definitely a must. Say barge. I'll probably bring my jar of it tomorrow, but it is contact cement, so it's it's got some heavy fumes to it. So, which I didn't mention before we work on any of this stuff, I heavily suggest using some safety equipment, especially if you're going to use barge. Is using a vapor mask because the vapors can be pretty potent, toxic probably. I didn't read the fine print. It probably is toxic. Yes, sir.
What do you use the finer sculpting for the?
Yes, sir. What I did, once I glued it on there, I used a black magic marker and traced this first layer out. Then I cut with the utility knife. I did a rough cut with it. Went to the next layer, all 18 layers. And so I went through several blades and just kind of worked my way down to get the look that I wanted. The kind of rough, jaggedy. It's supposed to resemble a piece of concrete that's been torn up.
And that's the stuff from that you find at Home Depot.
Correct. Yes, sir.
3/4 inch.
I think it's 5/8 inch. It's pretty close. It's measured in millimeters. I'm not sure exactly millimeters it is, but it's about 5/8 inch. Now, like I said, it will have one side will be smooth, and the other side will have this ribbed look to it. So a lot of people use that ribbed look for armor because it kind of gives it a metallic. It all depends what you're using it for. But I prefer the stuff that has smooth on both sides because it takes less work and you can use both sides of it. So if you need something that has both sides to be seen, whatever you're working on, if you want both sides to be seen or if you want one side to be smooth, both sides to be smooth, I would heavily suggest either going to TNTCosplaySupplies.com. They sell for very cheap and they have pretty large sheets and they have varying thicknesses of it. There's also a store called the Foam Store here in Houston that you have to make an appointment to go see them. You can't order anything offline. You actually have to go there, and you can buy giant rolls of this stuff. You can buy Ava Foam, E200, E300, E400, whatever you want to. The varying types of, there's infinite amount of types of foams. You can get it all from there, depending on what you need. But if you're just starting out with something basic, I would say the stuff you can get from Home Depot, Lowe's, that gym floor mats. That's just the easiest way to start.
Do you ever do like mock-ups and prototypes of this stuff?
Prototypes?
Yeah.
I think every one of these is a prototype.
like you take like super cheap stuff and just it makes things fit and then make the real thing.
I do a lot of preparation. I'll do, Google is my best friend when it comes to when I go to cosplays. Like, I'm working on the mountain, but the other one I'm working on is Roadhog from Overwatch video game series. I was hoping to have it here to be ready to debut this weekend, but it's taking me a long time. But I do a lot of research. I actually go to my computer and I have each cosplay has their own ideas folder. Like when I did Killer Croc, I have probably 150 pictures of all the different iterations of him from other cosplayers and how they did things, the different video game series and comic books. I actually will go buy comic books just to get that. Like I went and bought the Batman, I forget what number it is, when Killer Croc made his debut. Actually, it wasn't Batman, it was Kid Superman, I think it was, Boy Superboy. It was when Killer Croc made his debut, so I went into Bedrock City Comics and bought it just to get, just for shits and giggles. just to get some background information and see how he's drawn from all the different. Killer Croc has been drawn every video game series. Yeah, he looks different. So I do a lot of research and planning before I even start. So when I made this, before I made this, I actually did make a small mock-up on the double-sided smooth stuff. But the stuff that they sell from TNT Cosplay Supplies isn't as thick as the stuff you can get from Home Depot. So it would have taken me about 30 layers of the stuff I have from them to make it this size. And I needed to make other things. I didn't have enough on me to make this. So I did make a little small mock-up, a little tiny one. Now it's a paperweight on my desk of this. Just to get an idea, because I wanted to make sure the chain and all that would work, and the bungee idea, it was strong enough. So I do sometimes, but for the most part, my planning is kind of meticulous before I even make a first cut.
Do you use a computer to make it, or?
No, I just use it. I use my search engine just to get the ideas behind it, and then I'll print it out. And so when I'm like right now in my craft room, I have about 30 pictures of Roadhog. I actually have the game, so I went in there to the character screen, the hero gallery, and just took screenshots of every angle of him, and I printed them all out so I can get, because he's got a whole bunch of little, what I call greebles all over the place. He's got little pins and little things here and there all over the place, and so it's just for planning purposes. Now, yeah, I do have tracing paper. Like before, I didn't have time to make this myself. I had a buddy make this for me, but I sent him my template to make it for me. I had a long piece of tracing paper that I used a projector. I printed it out on a piece of paper, cut it out, put it on a little small home projector, and just kind of played with it until I got the measurements about right. Now, when I did it, it wasn't this big. He made it slightly bigger than I actually had intended. But I actually went up there against the wall and held it against like this, kind of make sure it was right. So I use a projector if I want to get for scaling. For bigger things like this. Yes?
I was going to ask, do you work do you work at all, I don't know about the rules of some cons, metallic armor, true metal armor instead of just foam?
Yeah. I have a Planet Hulk that I do. That's probably I think it was my third costume I ever did. I worked at Comic Palooza a couple years ago. And it has an entire sleeve of scale mail. It's real scale mail, probably weighs about 20 pounds. And it's just one sleeve of it. It's not even all the way around. It's just one sleeve. It took me about a month and a half just weaving all those things together. I think it's 1,200 pieces of skin mail. And in the skirt that I use, I forget the name of it, the Roman name of the gladiator battle skirt that I have. It's real leather. That probably weighs another 20 pounds itself as well.
I was wondering about.
Yeah, but that was when I first started. This is one of my first props that I made for the Planet Hall. I was using as realistic stuff as I could get, real leather, real metal. I had some warble pieces. The pauldron I use is leather and warble, and that weighs another 10 pounds. I'll probably have to bring it tomorrow morning to show how I made that, because it's got can't remember the Roman name for it, but it's got the layered effect. So it's got leather wrapped in warbler. You get a real thick and sturdiness to it, and it's basically just the dome, and it's oversized because it's old. That was back then before I realized what I can do in foam. I realized I can make all that in foam. I can give it a leather-looking effect, metallic effect, and I can easily incorporate different electronic pieces. This is my shin for my cable cosplay. It's technically armor, but it's also a prop because it's a little electronics built into it, a little light. And it's literally the same as the thicker foam you can get from TNT Cosplay. So it's smooth on both sides. And in this, I made a simple template. I basically just wrapped my leg in saran wrap and duct tape, and kind of traced out the lines that I wanted. But I wanted to make it look a little more rigid armor. This is based off the Deadpool video game. The Deadpool cable, when Deadpool did the video game, his leg armor is really cool looking. It's got this angular golden armor to it. So I wanted to replicate it. So this is kind of my version of it. Now I did this exact same thing I did was gesso, several layers of gesso. Not as many as this. You can actually kind of tell the difference. This is probably 2 layers, and this is 9 to 10 layers. And so if you came up, you can actually see the small bubbles to it. So I sanded this down so you don't get the brush effect. But this one, you can It's a lot smoother. You don't see any of the bubbles that foam has. So I try to incorporate foam. It's easier to incorporate electronics into it, everything else. Now these more props, I guess you can call them. These are all from our original. I've done about 4 or 5 versions of cable over the years, and I kind of continuously improve it. These were from the original one. I got them from Army surplus. They're not real. They're just little toy ones. This is for my cell phone. This is the first cable is known for its big guns and massive amount of pockets. So on my cable, I have about 18 pockets, I think it is. There's about 12 around my belt. I got one here. I've got so many. They're all functional. You can all open them all up, stuff into them. These right here is my wallet, credit card, or whatever I need. I have more on my chest over there. This is a super simple template for it. Again, it's technically armor, but I consider this a prop because it's just adding on to the effect of the costume. Literally the easiest, I've seen people with foam pouches and belts before, and it always looks so cool. How do they do that? Literally the easiest thing. It's bending foam over, add sides to it. That's it. And I found a pretty simple template for it online, and I kind of altered it to my look.
Do you use barge for the seams?
Yes,
Okay.
that's key. Because since it is a pocket and it's functional, you want it to not just fall apart on you, especially with sweat, because I sweat a lot. So I usually wear muscle suits underneath my costume, so it gives me more mass. And so I get real hot. And I need something that just want to stay together. So this is all just real simple, just literally just a real quick swipe and little small amount of barge on both sides, heat up with a heat gun. And this is where you gotta, if you want a nice smooth edge, you gotta be real slow and careful. Because, like I said, once it's on there, it's on there.
If you do mess up with that, can you touch it up with like a little bit of sanding it or something?
You can sand it down. I'll be bringing tomorrow my journal. I use a journal. I have the one with the snake arm. Whatever it's, I call it the snake arm. I can't remember what it's called. But it's basically the attachment, so in case it's not just one rigid piece, you can, like a pencil, you can use it.
Right.
And so I go through sanding wheels on that thing like crazy because I use it for everything. Now, if I want to add some details, I don't think I have anything here that I add details. I'll actually change the bit out, put a little pointy piece. There's thousands of attachments you can have for the journal, but the sanding wheel alone is probably the best thing ever. Another thing I'll be bringing tomorrow, I didn't bring it today, because again, I'm for armor. But you can see these nice, clean lines, and they're all 45-degree angle lines. I bought the Logan Foamworks kit. It's $99.99 on Amazon. And it's sweet. What it is, it's an entire kit, and it comes with a straight edge, a long straight edge. It's articulated, it's 3 feet long, and it has all your incremental measuring stick on it. But on the other side, it has a lip to it where you can put the attachments on, and it literally locks into it, and you can do clean, straight cuts. Yeah. Now they have the $39.99, the basic standard kit. Will come with that and all the different ones. The ones that I have, and they're all pressure activated, so it has a little small blade in it, and you basically press down. Has a 45-degree cut, has a straight cut, and also does like a block cut, I think it's called. So you can cut a block and it folds it in, makes it nice 90-degree. But it also has a circle cutter. Then basically poke it in there, and you set your distance on the inside of it. You set your distance of how big the circle you want, and you just wheel it. What it does is just, when you scroll it down, it's like a screw that goes down, and it'll make a cut, a first cut, and keeps going, depending on how thick it is. The thicker the material, it probably won't do as well because the blade only goes about that much, so it has a limit to it, but it makes a perfect circle over and over again the same size. And I believe I did some pieces on the back here that made circles that are perfect. Like these were all made from it. I messed them up and made them look more weathered down, but you get perfect circles from it, which is one of the hardest things to get out of foam work. And another piece that comes with it are hole punches. Basically, they came in three different sizes, and they're able to do small, 1/8 inch to 1/4 inch to I think up to an inch, I think it is. Just make holes and stuff. It's a perfect circle hole, and what you use is you just twist it, because what it is a sharp piece of metal. It's a piece of metal that goes all the way through it, and it has a sharp edge to it that when you press down on it, and you kind of circle cut, you just torquing it in, and it cuts a perfect circle. And if you need something that needs like a that needs, like these right here, on these little mini grenades, I want a little fuse or some kind of small little thing to it. These are all just things I had popped out of another thing. I used the 1/8 inch hole punch, and it has a little button to release what you punched out, and I just glued that on there. So it has you can create a hole, but you can also create a little piece of, like a circular piece to make for something. Like redoing, they call it. I have tons of those, I keep them all. So it's Logan Foam Works, and it's been a godsend because you don't have to worry about making super straight cuts, and I have just a 3-foot roller, so you can get a perfectly nice 3-foot cut if you need a straight cut. 45-degree cut. So this is what I did in this, is I just measured it all out and just did 45-degree cuts on both sides. Down here, straight down like that. Now this was just the smooth side of the foam, and I just did several layers. I didn't put any gesso on this one because didn't need to, because most people won't see this unless I pick it up on my shoulder. This is just several layers of plastidip. I think about 4 layers of plastidip all over this. And then when I did all that, I found this nice brick red color from Home Depot. Sprayed it on there right on top of the plastidip. Then I took a bone light. It just kind of filled it in the gaps here, just hand painted in, and I have an airbrush gun. It's a little small, nothing too fancy, nothing too expensive. I think it was like $150 for the gun and the compressor, and just use a little black. And another thing I love is my air gun, because I think I use a Posh. I think it is. I can't remember. But it's not that I don't have anything super expensive, but it's something that you can quickly add details. Like I spray painted this again today because I had been in my garage for 4 years. Silver. I had some extra silver, metallic silver laying around. I just kind of sprayed it on real quick, and then I went through. It took me about 3 minutes. Just went in there with a little black and just kind of sprayed around, add details. I did everything now. On here, add a little black around the edges. I like a little grungier look on my cosplays, if you can tell. Now this, when you do the gesso, if you don't sand it down perfectly flat entirely, you'll still have some of the microscopic ridges. So I would do my black paint and then quickly rub it away. It gives it that smeared look, and so you kind of get the crest of your brush strokes will be clear, gold, but the valleys would be this black, and so it kind of gives it that grungy, worn, not brand new kind of look. So everything I have has some kind of airbrushing effect to it because I don't like the clean, brand new look. I like something that's been used, kind of like, even though it's brand new, I want it to look used. So, any more questions? Yes, sir.
How long did it take you to do the helmet or the bowl?
Now this one took a while because I had to wait for everything to dry. When I was making this, it was over Christmas time in my garage. Trying to make it in time for I think it was the second weekend of January was the New Orleans Comic-Con, and so that was when I was debuting my Killer Croc. So I had to make it in a cold garage, and so Barge doesn't like the cold. It doesn't do as well when it's cold outside.
But 3M contacts.
Now I've used that before. I've also used the Borden. Is it Borden? No, that's milk. What's Elmer's? They both have cows as a logo. Elmer's glue. I've used their contact cement. The 3M one is still pretty good, but the Barge, I haven't found anything that comes close to being as good and as quick as Barge. It literally is. You can glue 2 pieces together in 10 seconds. Glue, one layer, heat it up, it's good to go. Now I've heard some people, a lot of guys will say they always do 2 layers. You do a layer, let it dry, do another layer of Barge. I haven't found a need for it. It doesn't. I had put 1 layer on everything. Like you can look on here. I guess you can't see because I have electronics in the way, but what I've done is I cut the 45-degree angle into these, kind of give that rich look. Then I literally put Barge on there and glued it in. There's no behind structure for it. That's how strong the Barge is. It literally has maybe a 1/16 of an inch to an 1/8 of an inch contact between both pieces, and I've worn the costume 3 times now and a photo shoot, and it hasn't come off yet. That stuff is strong. I'd highly recommend getting some, but again, safety first. Gotta have some goggles, gotta have some vapor protection, because it'll give you a headache. Learned that the hard way when I was in the garage working it. I thought I had enough had the garage door open and a fan going on. It's still pretty strong, so I would highly recommend. Now, it took me, get back to the original question, it took me a while to make this because I had to let it dry. Then I had to cut each layer out. Then I used the carving knife, like a turkey carver. I went through and carved it down. and then I spackled the edges, then I plastic dipped it, then I painted it, then I did the etching on the bottom, the stuff
So
right
you
there.
really started using plaster and spackle on that?
Correct. I had extra I moved into a house a year ago, and at the time I had the previous homeowners left a ton of spackle in the garage. Now I would prefer to use Bondo, the stuff you get for automotive repair. If you have like a
It's body color, yeah.
exact body foam. I had a whole bunch of spackle. It's not as good as Bondo. It's the cheap man's out, and it's probably not that great. It's starting to come off a little bit now. At the time, I had so much of it, and I wanted to experiment, so I tried it out. And I put just layers and layers of it, let it dry. Once it turned white, I went back there and sanded it down. I bought an orbital sander. Unfortunately, the nooks and crannies of it just wasn't, the orbital sanders couldn't get in there. If you do the big flat pieces, but to get in there, you need to get the with a triangular one that kind of has those spaces. But, so I just went there by hand.
Like an oscillating sander.
Correct. Now, it just didn't, the nooks and crannies were just too small for it to really get in there and do a good job. So I went by hand and did a rough sanding of it, just the spackle kind of smooth. But I didn't want to make it too smooth because look, it just got ripped out of the wall. And I did have, at one time, it unfortunately has come off. I took real thick foam right here. You can't see it now because it's been torn off. I had a little kid step on it in New Orleans and ripped it off. But I had pieces of rebar sticking out. Like they'd been ripped out of the wall. And what it was just a square piece of foam that I took from the same type of foam, and I put it on my belt sander. I have a belt sander at home, and I bought real cheap from Harbor Freight for like $70, I think it was. It has its own stand, and it's a belt sander. So I just kind of took it up in my hand and just smoothed the corners off and made it into a cylinder. Then I went there with my hot knife and did a just rough kind of cuts on it to make it look like it was kind of ribbed, like rebar is, and drilled a hole. Literally took a drill with I think an inch drill, just drilled holes into the foam, put barge on it, stuck it in there real quick, and it was great. You can tell it's still great. It still works just great, but the actual foam itself got torn off and somebody stepped on it. Unfortunately, but I will go back there eventually and add more rebar sticking out. So I have my own house now. Before I was in an apartment, so I didn't have all the cool toys that I have now. But I've got a belt sander, I got a drill press, I got a whole bunch of other stuff, which allowed me to do some cool stuff. Not necessary to have all that stuff, but I would heavily recommend an airbrush gun. You can go to Hobby Lobby. You can use the 40. I went to Hobby Lobby today and got a 40% off coupon. You can get an airbrush gun for $50, $60, and a decent one too. They're so easy to learn. I had no idea how to use it. It came with an instruction book, but I said I don't need that. It's literally, I have a gravity-fed one, and I also have a bottle-fed one. So the bottle-fed one is I use mostly because I can paint all day long. So that'd be one thing I'd recommend. But barge glue, by all means, is great. Do you have any more questions? Now, I still haven't answered that original question. It did take me about a week and a half to finish this because it was cold, I was working, I had a full-time job, and so just took me a long time to eventually get it down. But once I got the pieces together and it was solid and I was able to attach everything and get everything painted, the paint job and all the fine details didn't take me too long. Now, I have little scoring marks on here, it kind of look like he's clawing at it. I did that with the utility knife, and then with foam, when you make a cut on it, you can take a heat gun to it and it'll spread that cut out. It makes it more prominent. I don't know if it's real, because it's all basically microscopic. Foam is just microscopic bubbles just kind of glued together kind of thing. When you cut a clean line on it, if you make an accidental cut, I can't see that until you start heating it up, and then that cut will just kind of make a valley and it will spread. So if you want something that has a real prominent cut, like a battle damage, scarring effect, do one slice of it on a utility knife, and then come back with a heat gun and let it heat up and it'll spread out. And then you can go and paint it and add details.
Where would you say you should get one of the hot knives from?
Hot knife, I got mine from Hobby Lobby. I actually got it because I was working in the oil and gas field, so I was traveling for a month at a time to a hotel in the middle of nowhere, Oklahoma. So I built a lot on my, I made this in the hotel room. I did all the electronics, had it all mailed to me. I went to Home Depot and I bought a whole bunch of stuff. I made a little airbrush booth in my bathroom. I'm pretty sure that Marriott doesn't like me anymore, but I did a lot of I wore Kingpin to Dallas Comic Con, not this year, but last year, and I built that entire costume while I was in a hotel room. So you don't, like I said, you don't need everything, all the cool toys and all the cool gadgets and all that stuff. You just need a little bit of imagination and plenty of reference pictures to base your stuff off of. But Home Depot is your best friend, or Lowe's. I kind of go Home Depot for like the foam mats and all that, but Lowe's has a lot more. I call them greeblies. Just the small things. I go there, and if I'm going there for something that I need for the house, I'll still walk all around, getting an idea. Oh, I could use that for this something. Like these, just a lot of these greeblies to this are all stuff I got from Home Depot or Lowe's. Just walking down the aisles. This piping down here is irrigation piping. I got from the irrigation aisle of Lowe's. Some of the other stuff is from Joann's, Hobby Lobby. Those are your meccas. If you need to find stuff, that's where you need to go.
Could you use any of these to make anything for any like independent film or anything?
Absolutely. I mean, it all depends on what kind of use you're going for. 5 minutes. Okay. Really? 5 minutes. It all depends what kind of quality you're looking for, what you're going to use it for. Now, most movies will make a screen-accurate, professional one. Say for a prop, they'll make a real sword for like close-ups.
Yeah.
But they're not going to swing a real sword at people when they're doing the fighting. They'll make a rubber one, or they'll probably won't use foam because that's more cosplayer level or price-wise. They'll probably do a casted, a rubber or polyurethane or whatever you want to call it, kind of sword. So for a small film, all depends what your budget is. You can go something screen accurate, a really nice for Hollywood quality, or you can do something, what I call mine, it's not Hollywood quality. If you look close, you'll see the inconsistencies or whatever. I made it from home, but you could definitely use this. I have a lot of friends who do a lot of small independent films. I've got a friend in San Diego who does Nightwing, who does an awesome Nightwing, and I helped make his escrima sticks. The little Nightwing sticks.
The baton.
Baton.
Battens. I'm sorry, battens.
Battens. They're called, I think, escrimas. I don't know. That's Daredevil. Anyways, I helped make my friend's Daredevil sticks as well. But he uses them on screen for his little Bloodhaven series that he does over in California, and so it's a small film, but they're pretty well done. Any more questions before we have to get out of here?
Is half the fun is making the items, or is it what's more fun, having the finished products or in the process of making the thing?
For me,
Yes.
I have fun the entire way. Now I do get a little nervous when I'm like, right now I'm working on Roadhog from Overwatch, and his gun, I wanted to make it really nice looking, oversized. I get a little nervous about before I make my first cut, but once I get it and I start saying, oh, that looks good, then the fun just, I'll take my time before I start on something.
Right.
Like it took me a while to get started on, I meant to have this done for Dallas Comic Con in May because Lena Headey, who plays Cersei, was supposed to be there as a guest. So I wanted to have my mountain done in time. But it took me a long time just to, like I've never made a helmet before, and I just wanted to be like, I don't know. I did my research. I was like, I don't know. I wanted all the reference files before I could even started on it. And then I just started on it. And once I started on it, I was like, oh, that looks pretty good. My planning actually turned out well. I just kept on going with it. And I ended up making this whole thing like in a day. It took me 3 weeks to even start on it. But I made it all in about a day and a half because I have so much fun doing it. Literally, making everything is fun. Then the other fun part is taking it to a con and kind of showing it off. That's what cosplay is all about, really. Showing off the stuff, the hard work you do. So, I guess that's pretty much about it. Sorry if I didn't answer all your questions. I didn't know I was doing this class until about 3 hours ago. But my name's Titan. I'm Jason, but I go by Titan Cosplay. Facebook.com/Titan Cosplay. Instagram is Titan_Cosplay. Same thing for Twitter. If you have any questions about anything, feel free. I have people message me every single day asking me questions about it. I had a guy today asking me about my Planet Hulk outfit. So by all means, contact me if you have any questions. I'll try my best to answer it. If I don't know it, I guarantee you I have a friend who knows how to make a better version of it. So thanks for coming. I appreciate it. Hope I answered some of your questions. I have a booth as a cosplay guest over in the main hall, I guess, the main event hall. I will have most of the stuff here tomorrow on my table to look at. you can come and ask me questions there as well. Okay? Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.